Good morning, students. Am I audible? Okay. So before we start with the program on stacks, I'll just tell you about a homework problem that I had given you on Saturday. Okay. So, and then I'll be checking the program. I'll make one Google form. You'll have to upload a Word file of the program on when I give you the Google link. Okay. So all of you will have to type the program, the only the function in a Word file and upload it. So I'll just tell you, I think some of you all got a bit confused about how it is to be done. So I'll just tell you what I expected. Okay. So suppose you had a linked list. So suppose you had a linked list like this. Okay. And say this was the data. Say you start numbering the nodes from here. So this was the first node, second node, third node, and fourth node. So I think that day I told you to write a program to find the sum of odd numbered nodes. Basically what I wanted to find y'all to find is to find the sum of this node, okay, and this node. For example, if this was the linked list, so you would have found the sum as 1 plus 3 as 4. It does not matter whether the data here is odd or even. So this data here could have been even. Okay, the data here, you don't have to check the data whether the data is odd or even. You have to check whether it's an odd node. So how will you do that? You have to make use of some variable to keep a count and check that variable. Suppose this variable is I. Okay, so suppose the first node I will be 1. So this, you check this value whether it's odd or even. So here you will get this value as odd. Here you will get the value as even. So that time when you get even, this node sum will not be taken into the final answer. So we are going to take only when it is odd. So the first and the third nodes in this diagram that I have drawn for you, that sum would have been taken. So for example, it would have been 10 plus 30 and the sum of the nodes in the linked list would have been equal to 40. Do not check for the data part. I am not told you to check for the data whether the data is odd or even. I have told you to find the sum of odd numbered nodes. So the odd number node is this one. This is the first node, and this is the third node. So find the data of odd numbered nodes, so depending on how big your linked list is. Okay. So I hope you have understood the problem. So if some of you have not been able to do or were confused, I hope that has solved the doubt about the homework. So does anyone still have doubt about the homework problem? Yes, Yatina. Write only the function. You have to write only the function. If you all want to test it, you can write the entire single linked list program which I have already taught you, and then add that function to that program. So if you have done that function properly, you should be able to get the answer. call the function add function from the main program, and after that call the display function, or in that add function only you can put the last statement, the sum of the nodes, and put a printf statement. So that will you will understand whether your sum of the nodes is correct. So you can, for example, create the first node, add a node at the end, add a node at the beginning, some add 3 nodes. Once you have added 3 nodes, you obviously know what data you have entered there, and then write your function in that program, a separate function, call that function in the main, and then check whether your program is working. And once you know it's working, you can write it, put it in Word, only the function. And I'll make a Google form. You have to upload that function with your roll number and name. You have to store your file name with your roll number underscore name, and then upload it. Only the function, not the entire program. Okay. Any other questions with regards to that linked list? Okay then, let's continue. So yesterday we were doing stacks. So we'll just revise what are stacks, then I'll show you the program on stacks. Program on stacks is quite simple compared to linked list. So yesterday we were studying what is a stack. Okay, so we saw that stack is a data structure in which items can be inserted and deleted from one end, called the top of the stack. Okay, the top of the stack initial value is set equal to -1. Okay, top of the stack initial value is set equal to -1. Now many of you will have this question, why it is set equal to -1? Why this value not set equal to something else? Okay, so if yesterday we understood the logic of the push and the pop, okay, in the example that we did, can you just think, don't type the answer, I will ask one of you, can you just think why we are setting the top of the stack value equal to -1 initially when the stack is empty? Why don't we set top of the stack equal to 999 or some 5 or 10? Why is it equal to -1 at the before we start pushing elements, or when the stack is empty? So can we have Samiksha Chari telling me why do we set top of the stack equal to -1?
Hello, sir.
Samiksha, yes, yes.
So we choose -1 and plus we add the increment, so it becomes 0. That's why to start to begin
Yes,
now.
correct. Why do we have to make top of the stack equal to 0 the first time?
Because we begin from the 0. That's why.
Correct. The array indexing always starts from 0.
Yeah.
Okay. Since we are going to implement a stack using array and the array indexing starts from 0, therefore the first time we increment top of the stack, -1 plus 1 will become equal to 0, and that is the start of the array indexing. That is the only reason we set top of the stack equal to -1. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just go through this yesterday what we did, and then I'll show you the program. So suppose we would push 5 elements onto the stack. Okay, as you can see here, the size of the stack is 5. Okay, we would push some 5 elements onto the stack, so something like this. Okay, so at the end of the 5th push, the top of the stack would have been equal to index 4. Okay, the data stored there would be 30. Now, the stack is known as a last in first out data structure. So what do you mean by last in first out? As you can see here, 30 would have been the 5th element to be pushed onto the stack. But if we start popping, 30 will be the first element to be deleted. The last element to be inserted, okay, that is 30, is the first element to be outputted or to be deleted. So that's why your stack is known as a last in first out. Last element to be inserted is the first element to be deleted. So if I would start popping, 30 would have got deleted from here, and your top of the stack would have been also decremented to the next location where the data is present. Now 20 was the second last element to be pushed. Now if I pop, 20 will be the second element to be deleted, and so on. So the first element to be pushed on the stack was 5. So that will be the last element to be deleted. So in a stack, why is it known as a last in first out? Where the last element to be deleted is the first element to be, last element to be inserted is the first element to be deleted. Okay, so have you all understood why we call a stack as a last in first out? Any doubts about that? Okay, any doubts before I start with the program? Okay, I'll start with the program then. I'll share this program with you all as a document. You all can write it down later in your books. Okay, so if I finish the class early, then I'll give you all some time to write down this program. So as you can see here, I declared some header files. Okay, then I've declared some global variables here. Okay, so this I hope you know is what this does, this statement here. Can you just write in the chat what does hash define and what will this statement do, which I'm highlighting? Do you all know what it does? Can you just write the answer in the chat if you know what it does? Yeah, it's a preprocessor directive, but what does it do? Yes, it gives the value of 5 to the variable n. So wherever n is present in the program, okay, you can see here this is a variable that has been given the value 5. So wherever n is present, so for example here, n will be replaced by 5. When the program starts running, this n will be replaced with the value 5. Okay, so wherever that n is present, for example n is present here, the n will be replaced by 5. Why 5? Because I have defined that here. Okay, so that's a easy way of changing the value of n. So suppose I want it as 50, I could just make it 50 here, and everywhere in the program n will replace by 50. So going over to the next line, I have declared one stack here. Okay, so it's an array. The size of the stack is n. So the value of n will be replaced there, that is 5. And I'm having this variable top that will be standing for the top of the stack. Then I'm having some more variables to help me in the programming. Okay, so basically the two important variables that we need are this stack and top of the stack. So I've declared stack as an array of size 5, and this variable top will be my top of the stack. They are declared here function prototypes. Okay. As you can see here, I put here void. It did not put this void. I could have kept it like this also. So it means the same thing. It is void. If I don't put all this also, it's the same thing. But I'm just showing you the different ways of programming. So if you put or don't put, it means the same thing. So it depends on you how you find it convenient. So most of the times actually I would not put this thing. Okay. So it would have been like this. So these are your function prototypes. I'm having 3 functions: push, pop, and the third one is to display the values in the stack. Then coming over to the main function, program execution always starts from the main function. So in the main function, like we have discussed, we are now learning a program on stacks using arrays. Okay. So I set my top of the stack value initially. Since stack is empty, I set the initial value of the top of the stack equal to -1. Okay. So if I draw this, I'll just draw the stack here. I'm having initially top equal to -1. Okay, that I get from this line. Then you can see here I'm doing 5 consecutive pushes. Okay, so I'm doing 5 consecutive pushes. Instead of 5, I'll do 6. Okay, so that you understand the concept. So suppose I do 6 consecutive pushes. Okay, so let's start with the first push. So when I call this function, push function, control will get transferred to the push function here. Okay, so this code will be executed. Now here we are checking for the stack overflow condition here in this portion of the code. Okay, and in the else part we do the actual push. So here in the else part we do the programming for the inserting the values in the stack, and in the if part we check whether a stack overflow has occurred. So yesterday we had discussed what is stack overflow. So can you write, just write in the chat what you have understood by stack overflow yesterday? Can you just quickly write what is stack overflow? Yes, correct. When stack is already full and you start to try to push more elements on the stack, that is known as stack overflow. Correct. Okay. So that part is checked in the if statement. So we'll just do this now. So I've called this now push for the first time. So I'll just make it red so that you understood. So we are doing this first push. Okay. Now I check this. Top value here. Top value is -1. Okay. Top value is -1. See here. Top value is -1. N value is 5. So 5 minus 1 is 4. -1, is it greater than equal to 4? No, this is not true. That means this is not, we do not execute this. We go to the else part. In the else part, I execute this line, enter a value to be pushed. I enter some data here. Okay, I enter the data and store it in the variable x. Suppose I enter the data as 10. Okay, now in the next line here I increment top. So when I increment top, the programming is top plus plus. So when I increment top, +1 gets added to the existing value of top. So -1 plus 1, value of top is 0. That means Now this will be top value will be 0. Okay, so in this line now top value is 0. Next line, this array name is stack. So this array name is stack. In the beginning I've already told you that. So now what I do, I want to insert this value 10 in this array at this index 0. So this line here does that. So the 10 value is contained in this variable x, okay, that I store here in this array. So stack top, what is the value of top? 0. So stack top gets replaced with 0. Okay, so where I'm storing the value? In array stack at index 0. So at this index 0, I store this value of x. And what is the value of x? 10. Got it? Did you get these lines? Any doubt here how it works? So basically, like I told you yesterday, your push operation involves of two major steps: increment the value of top, and then insert the value wherever top is present. So I incremented the value of top here in this line, and the next line I have inserted wherever I inserted the value where top was present. So any doubts here? If you have any doubts, you can type in the chat or ask me. Did you all get it? Okay. If you all have any doubts, you can ask. So I'll continue. So now after this is executed, from this line we go back to the main function. So when you come back to the main function, this push is executed. So I'll just highlight it as red. The second time I'm calling push. So when I call push now, okay, remember now top is a global variable. Okay, so the value of top is not deleted when I exit this function. So value of top now is 0. It is not deleted. Also n is a all these are global variables, so whatever values they have, those values will be stored, nothing gets deleted. Okay, when you exit a function. So now again I call push for the second time. So when I call push again, now the value of top is 0, value of top is 0, n minus 1 is 4. So 0 is not greater than that. So again this condition is false. This condition is not true. So we do not enter the if statement, but we come here to else. Again we enter a data. Okay, so suppose we enter the data now as say 20. Then the next line what will happen? Top will be incremented. Value of top was 0. So now top will be made 0 plus 1. So value of top will be 1. Okay, so top has got shifted. In the next line, what will happen? Value 20 will be stored where top is present. So top is at 1. So stack 1 because this top value is 1. So stack 1. At that place, this value of x, which is 20, will be inserted. So 20 will go here. Okay, do you get it? Is it okay now if I do it directly? If you understand, can you just type in the chat? Is it okay I do the remaining pushes directly? Can you just type in the chat? Okay, so I'll just do the third, fourth, fifth push directly. Okay, if you all are not getting it, you can stop me. So the third time I call push, third time I call push. Now the value of top is 1. Okay, and this is 5 minus 1 is 4. So this is not greater than this. Not true. Not true. Go to the else part. Take another value. So now when suppose you take the value as 30. Okay, increase top. So now top will be here at 2. So and you insert this value now where top is present. So now 30 will go here. Okay, again when you call top, when you call push, sorry, this value is not true. You come to the else part, you take another value. So suppose you take the value now as 40. Increase top. So now top will become equal to 3. Okay, and in the next line insert 40 where top is present. So 40 will come here in stack top. Okay, suppose you call push now for the 5th time. The value of top is now 3 and this is 4. Okay, so it's not equal, it's not true. So what you will do, go to the else part and enter value to be pushed. So suppose you enter the value to be pushed now. So suppose it is 50. Increment the value of top. So when you increment the value of top, top will become equal to 4. Insert the value now at that place. So you will insert 50 here. Okay, now we have called push 5 times. So after I have called push 5 times, I get something like this. Okay, so my stack looks something like this, the array that is. Okay, so I'm having the value of top as 4 and the values inside the array are, the stack are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I've done now 5 pushes. When I call push for the 6th time, okay, when I call push for the 6th time, now if you check the value of top is 4 and n minus 1 is 4. So this is greater than or equal to this. So this condition is now true. If I try to push again, what happens? I get this message that there is stack overflow. And since the if part is executed, else part is not executed, and I go back to the main function after printing this message, stack overflow. Okay, so this is how your push function works. So any doubts about the push function? Any doubts about the push function? Yeah, any questions? Did you all get the code about the push? Okay, so if you all have understood that, then we'll continue. Next, I call the display. Okay, when I want to display, so I go back now to the display function. So I go here to the display. Okay, so I check here if top is greater than or equal to 0, because why I check this? Because if top is equal to -1, there is nothing to display. So initially when the stack was empty, if you remember, top was set equal to -1. So I check whether it is greater than or equal to 0. That means there is some values to be displayed. Otherwise, there is nothing to be displayed. Okay. So when I check, the condition will be true because top value is 4. So this condition is true. So I come here, I print this line, the elements in the stack. Okay, I print this line. Then I start with the for loop. Okay, so I start with this for loop. So as you can see here, I initialize I equal to top. Can someone think and tell me why I said this condition I equal to top? Why don't I write here? Why don't I write here I equal to n? Why don't write here I equal to 4? Why write here I equal to top? Just think about it. I'll tell you later. You just think about this portion of the code. This portion that I just made big. Why I make it like this? I equal to top. Okay, I'll tell you later. So I initialize I equal to top. So I value is now, I value will be equal to 4. Okay, I check this condition. I is greater than or equal to 0, true. I print this value now. So I print the value at this. So what is the value that is getting printed? Stack of I. So what is I value? 4. So stack of 4. At that position, what is the value that is present? 50. So 50 gets printed. Okay. Then I value is decremented. So I will become now 3. I check the condition. 3 is greater than 0. I print this. So I print now at stack of 3 because inside this there is I and I value is 3. What is that stack of 3? Stack of 3 value is 40. The next value that gets printed is 40. Okay. I decrement I will become 2. 2 is greater than 0. Next I print the value at stack of 2, that is 30. And like that I keep printing till I value is greater than or equal to 0. So next value that will get printed is 20. Next value that will get printed is 10. And like this it continues till 10. When you reach here, I becomes equal to 0. Okay. When I becomes equal to 0, and if you decrement it, then I will become equal to -1. When I is equal to -1 and you check this condition, -1 is not greater than or equal to 0. So we stop with this printing. And this is the else part. So if part is executed, else part is not executed. So once I have done with this printing, I exit the display. Okay. So that is how your display function works. Okay. Any doubts in how the display function works? Please ask. If you assign the top value to n, then the array would be deducted. Okay. We'll come back to that portion later. Okay. Why we are assigning I value to top? I'll tell you a little later. So display function, any doubts? Okay. Then we'll continue with the program. So once we are done the display, you go back to the main function. In the main function now we are doing pop. Now as you can see here we are doing pop. I call the pop function. When I call the pop function, before we go to the pop function, which value should get deleted? The value present at the top. So value that is 50. This 50 should get deleted. And after 50 is deleted, top should come from 4 to 3. top should be decremented. Okay, so first delete this value, then decrement top. That is what should happen in pop function. We'll go to the pop function and see it. So this is your pop function. So here the if part again handles the stack underflow condition. Okay, and the else part handles the actual pop operation. What we do is, here I first print a value that is present at this top. So as you can see here, this portion here, stack top. Okay, so stack top, what is the value of top? 4. That this 4, stack of 4, what is the value that is present? 50. That 50 gets printed here. So I print this, that the popped element is 50. This message will get displayed. Okay, once I display that message, the next line is what I do. So I print that value 50, and then in the next line I decrement the value of top. So in this line here, I decrement the value of top. The top value was 4. After decrementing, top will become equal to 3. Top gets decremented. Okay, so now top will be equal to this value 3, and the value that is stored there, how we access that value? So suppose I want to access this value stored at this index, I would have written like this, stack of top. The top gets replaced with this index 3, and I can access that value which is stored there, that is 40. Okay, so we are not popping that right now. So if, just remember that when I say this value has got popped, it actually does not get deleted from the array. Okay, this value does not get deleted. This 50 remains there. Okay, this 50 actually remains there. Okay, but henceforth when we are displaying, if you remember, I've set the value of I. When we do the display, we set the value of I equal to, here see, I'll show you. We set the value of I equal to top. When I set the value of I equal to top, next time I call the display function, I'll be displaying only the values from 10 to 40 or 40 to 10. Okay, because 50 has been deleted. So that's why I set the value of I here equal to top. Since this index 4, the value at index 4 has got popped. So although it is actually there, it is not shown when we display. Okay, if you're getting confused, when it means popped, means this thing is not going to be shown, but in the computer actually it remains. Okay, it does not get deleted in the array. Since the array has been declared of size 5, this value remains. Okay, it goes nowhere, but we are not going to display that value. We are going to only display the value from top. So what is top? Top value is 3. So from 3 till 0, so we are going to only display these values 40, 30, 20, 10. So although this 50 is still there, since it is got popped, we are not going to display it. Okay, so I will delete. When I say I pop, I'm going to remove this from the array, so that I don't want you all to get confused. But from the programming point of view, you must understand that that value never goes anywhere. It is there. Okay, any doubts about what I just told? Yeah, Cheryl, we'll come to that. Yeah, that's a good question. We are coming to that. So this value still remains here. Okay, I made it in red so that. So now we go back to the main function. So I did this pop. Now again I'm pushing. Okay, I'm pushing a new value. So look at this your diagram before we go to the push. The value of top here is 3. Okay, value of top here is 3. I'll just rub this and write again. It's become a bit messy. So here value of top is 3. This is your value of top. Okay, this is actually got popped. This is not there. So now I am calling this push. Okay, so when this push is called, let's see what happens. When I call this push, I check this value. Okay, top is 3, n minus 1 is 4. So this is not greater than or equal to this. So not true. Do not execute this part. You come here. Okay, take a new value. So suppose the new value is say 100. Okay, next line, increment top. So when you increment top, top now will become equal to 4. Top now will become equal to 4. So top will become equal to, sorry, top will become equal to 4. Okay, in this line here, and the next line we insert this value 100 at stack top. So 100 will come here. So 100 will come here. Okay, it does not make any difference because 50 was already deleted. So 50, that value 50 gets replaced with the new value. So did you all get it? What happened? So I hope that answered Cheryl's question. Any other doubts? Okay, did you all get what happens? How it works, the array and the stack? Okay, so if I continue with the main function, next again I call push. So when I call push, again, as you can see, my stack is full. If the stack is full, when I call this push, what message I should get? I should get stack overflow. Okay, so we just go and see. When I call this push, value of top is 4. Okay, when you are executing these lines, value of top is 4 and n minus 1 is also 4. So this condition is true. So since this condition is true, this message gets printed on the output that the stack is overflowed. Since the if part is executed, else part is not executed, and we exit the function. Then we call the display function again, and same, these are just some more I put. You can just trace it later on your books and see. Okay, you can just trace it later. So if I would pop here 5 times, 5 continuous times, or if I would pop 6 continuous times, then this line here would have got triggered if I would pop 6 continuous times. Okay, you can try that in your books later. Instead of putting these lines here, you pop 6 continuous times. Okay, and the 6th time when you pop, you will, this line will get triggered. The top value will be equal to -1, and you will get this message stack underflow. Okay, you can do that for yourselves later. So any doubts about what I just explained in the program? Did you all get the program? Okay, did you all get it? What if top is assigned a value 0, then inserted a value rather than having the value and then incrementing and then inserting? Yeah, Abhishek, you'll have to take care of this part then. Suppose you have made this top as equal to 0 here. Suppose you make this top as 0 here. When you call the push function, this push function when you call for the first time, okay, so this top will get incremented, so top will become 1. So the first value that you insert will be inserted at stack 1. It will not get inserted at stack 0. Okay. So if you have to make this as 0 initially, that is what would have happened. Your first value would have got inserted in index 1 instead of index 0. That's why we set it as -1. I can insert and then I can increment. Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. But normally this is the way it will be done. Okay. Because when your stack is empty, that time it may work. Second time, how it will work? Yeah, it will work. I think it will work. Yeah, you can do it. But this is the normal way we do it. Okay. Normally, if you, that's the standard way, we set the initial value of top equal to -1 and do it. So you want to say that you will make this as 0. You want to make this as 0 and then you want to increment this later on. Okay, so you want to make it like this. I think it should work for you. Okay, it should work. But normally not, this is not the way we do. So it is normally is done. There's no particular reason for doing it like this. But push operation always involves, if you look at any textbook and all, they will always tell you to increment the value of top first and then insert the value. So even I could have done it like this. For example, I could have set top equal to 999. Okay, this is just advanced programming. I don't want people to get confused. I could have set condition here. Okay, I could have set some condition here. If top equal to 999, then make top equal to 0. I could have done something like this also. Okay. It simply involves putting a lot of lines of code. Could have done something like this. Okay. So I could have made top any value that I wanted, like this, for example. I could have set the initial value like this. Then I could have done something like this. Okay. But now this, like you can see, involves some additional lines of code which are not needed. So yeah, if you want to make top equal to 0, you can do it. It should work. But we'll keep it like this. Okay. And when you are solving in the notebooks and the exams, if like for example yesterday's problem, I would expect you to start with the top of the stack equal to -1. Okay. In a practical exams and all, if you are doing the way Abhishek is saying, you can do it. Okay. Now the only problem for you when you make top of the stack equal to 0 is, okay, one problem that you will face is checking for this stack underflow. This condition, how you will do that, you will have to think. So right now I say if the top is equal, top value is less than or equal to -1, then I say it is stack underflow. If you make top equal to 0 and you start your programming, then how you are going to check for stack underflow, that you will have to think. Okay, that will be the problem for you in your program. How we are going to check for stack underflow. So you have to just, you can just try. You can try. Saish, I think instead of less than or equal to 0, top less than 0 should be fine. I think not less than or equal to 0. You will have to say top less than 0. If you say equal to 0, then it will be a problem. You can say top less than 0 and check for the stack underflow. So if you make that, here it will be top less than 0, and you can check for the stack underflow. Okay. So you'll have to, some places like that, means when you change some values, for example here, then you'll have to change some other of these, some of these conditions may also fail, so then you have to check for those. Okay, so once you check for all those things, then it is fine. Okay, remember this is not the only way of doing this program. There can be multiple ways of doing this. Okay, also I could have for example, I could have sent values from the main function. I could have sent values from here. Okay, I could have sent values from here. I could have taken input from the main function and sent values from here. But to just make your life simpler, I have not shown any arguments. Okay, so those who are good in programming and all, you can try to vary this program, improve your programming. Try to send take the data in the main function and send to function arguments, actual arguments, formal arguments. You can change this program. Try for yourselves. Send the data from the main function like this. Push values from here. Okay, so you can try like that. So when you're pushing values like that, you have to see your prototype will change, then the function definition will change, so a lot of things will change. You have to try. You try that like that at home if you are having Visual Studio. Okay. So yeah, I agree with you all with what you all are saying. The top you can always set top equal to 0. You can check underflow as top less than 0 also. So it should work. Okay. So any other doubts you'll have in this program? Okay. If you are not having any doubts, we'll end the class. Okay. I'll post this program onto the. Before I end the class, I just want to tell you some thing if you all don't know. Okay. Now this style of programming that we have seen here is known as top-down programming. Okay. Top-down. So in top-down programming, your main function comes first before the actual functions. Okay. So before these actual functions are defined, your main function comes, and in the main function you're calling all those functions. Okay, since you start calling these functions before they are defined, you have to give the function prototypes. If you don't give this function prototypes, you get an error. Okay, so this is known as top down programming. The other way could have been, okay, bottom up programming, where you don't declare the function prototype. You take this entire main program. Okay, you take this entire main function and put it at the end. It will look something like this. Okay, you declare the variables. There is no function prototypes. You directly define your function, push, pop, display, define all these functions, and at the end call your main function. This is your bottom up programming. Okay, in bottom up programming you don't need to define function prototypes. We're already defining the functions before the main function. So when you call this function, it has already been defined before it has been called. Okay, so that's why you don't need the prototype. And I think in this program I put here int, but I forgot to put a return 0 here, so there should be a return 0 here. Okay, so because of this int, or if you don't put a return 0, you can make this as void. So I hope I just told you very quickly what is bottom up and top down programming. You can follow any that you find comfortable. Okay, so right now I have done something like this. Which is top down programming. Okay, so I'll post this program on your classroom. You can start writing it on your notebooks, and we'll meet on for the next class on Friday. That time I'll start maybe with a new topic. So this program will be doing also for your practicals on Saturday. Okay, so you can if you are having Visual Studio or whatever software that you are using for C programming, you can try this program. Okay, I'm not sure in some, like I told you last time also, whether this program exactly works in the other softwares, but in Visual Studio it should work. Okay, so till Friday, take care. See you all.